Hi there folks, and it's another video from the MailRight platform, and in this video we're going to be discussing Google My Business and how you set up a Google My Business page. It's me, Jonathan Denwood, and I've got my co-founder Adam Brown, and we're going to go through the basics of what Google My Business is, and why it's important for you to set this up if you are a real estate agent.
And then also, we need you to go and subscribe and click the bell to get notifications for us, right?
Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really encourages us to keep making these videos.
Yeah, thanks.
And Adam, what are some of the basic things that real estate agents got to understand about Google My Business, and why you feel and why I feel it's so important in 2022 that agent set up a page on Google?
Yeah, such good questions. First off, everybody knows Google's the largest search engine in the world. So that is the main reason, if not the only reason, we really need to set up a Google My Business listing account. So one thing I would probably start off with is asking if people have ever Googled themselves. Google your name, see what pops up, what kind of photos pop up. Does your business pop up, or anything about your business pop up? Or is it just kind of personal photos? Maybe some photos from like the 70s, from way back when, before like internet was even around. I don't know. And, this also gives you a good idea of what other people are seeing when they Google you, if they're looking to do business with you in real estate or whatever business for that matter. So, this is basically an online listing of your business, what you do, the services, and information about you and your business. So it's super important that it's not just set up, but that it's set up correctly. And there's some different nuances with it and details that need to be included that we're going to share with you about today.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Adam. There's two crucial areas why this is so important, folks. Number one is mobile. It's linked when somebody does a search and they're using a mobile phone and they do a search. And I live in Northern Nevada in Carson City. So as an example, if I did a search, Carson City real estate agent on my phone, there's a good possibility, doesn't happen every time, but there's more than likely that what is called the Google local map will appear. The Google map pack will appear, and that is a Google map which highlights 3 to 5 local agents or brokerages that are the nearest to my phone. And guess what else shows up? It will be those 3 to 5 agents, my Google My Business pages that will show up as well.
Yeah.
And it's got even more crucial if you're actually spending some money with Google, which we're going to talk about a bit later in probably a series of 3 videos. In this video, we're going to talk about the basics. Then in the second video, we're probably going to show you how we set up a Google business page for an agent that is using MailRight. And number 3 video, we're going to be talking about the paid side of this, which is very exciting, and agents get some amazing results. But they won't get amazing results if they don't do this bit connected to paid advertising, and that has the effect, if you don't do these things, your paid advertisement is going to cost more money and be less effective. So these are some of the major reasons in 2022 why this is important. So that's enough from me, Adam. Do you want to go through some of the other key things that they got to know about Google My Business?
Yeah, and it is a pay to play game nowadays with most social media platforms. And I do consider Google My Business a social media platform, as well as like a listing and search engine kind of a platform and program or application as well. So kind of keep that in mind, and we'll talk a little more about why that is.
What are the basics that real estate agents? Let's start with the actual process of how you set up and set it up and get Google to accept that you own that particular page.
Yeah, so there's a few steps that you're going to take. The first thing is you're going to go to business.google.com, or you can just Google search Google My Business, and it'll pop up the link that you can click on. And so you're going to need to sign in to create that. If you don't have a Google account, you're going to create one basically. And then you'll go through the different steps to take so that you can start filling in all the necessary information and get it verified and things like that. So this is something that you can do on your own. But again, there's some things in the account that are pretty intentional and necessary so that you can kind of maximize your reach out there, especially on the organic side. But then once you start doing ads with Google, with your Google My Business account, these things start to make a big difference, especially with your return on investment. So keep that in mind. But yeah, you could definitely set it up yourself. We also have a plan that includes this in our MailRite system as well that you can check out. We'll include the link in here as well, so you can look at that and find out some details. But we want to help you maximize your search engine optimization out there. So when people search for you, or they search for realtors in their area, or like where Jonathan lives, if I'm asking Google while I'm driving realtors near me in Reno, for instance, what's going to pop up? So we want that to be you to be popping up on that first page. So once you go to business.google.com, you're going to navigate through each of the tabs, and there's several of them on there. Most of the tabs, when you're setting it up, there's going to be a little note that pops up that says that you're going to need to verify before you can add that option. So for posts, insights, reviews, messages, and products, for now, those are the things where unless you're verified, you can't really add anything to those areas. But it's good to know they're there and be familiar with those. So when you click on the home page, you're going to also notice on that left side, there's going to be the different tabs. And so click through each one of those, get familiar. And then once you click into the info part, that's where we're going to start to add some of the important things about you or your business, the area you live in, and whatnot. So there's going to be business hours and things like that that we'll set up as well. With my account, I have the Google Workspace, which used to be G Suite. And so that works.
You can utilize that, can you?
So that'll work too. So it kind of has a more professional login credentials, if you prefer.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Adam. So I'm not totally correct on this. If you've got, what Adam was trying to point out to me, folks, is if you've got a workspace email with Google, which is their professional level, it's the level up from they're free. You have to pay for this. It depends on how many inboxes. If it's just one inbox, it will cost you around $6 a month.
Yeah, it's pretty affordable. And I think the plan's like $200 or close to that. So it's not something that's going to break
ridiculous. But if you need multiple inboxes, it can get a bit expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at one inbox, it's not that expensive. But you can set that up, and you can utilize it for setting up your Google business page. Otherwise, you're going to have to set up a free Gmail account and utilize that in the setting up process. The second part, which used to be a bit easier, but they've made a little bit hard, they really want to make, you've really got to have a physical address in the area that you want to show up when people do searches.
Yeah.
So
you You can hide it too after the fact,
Yes.
but to verify your account. And I actually just was reading about there's so much virtual businesses now that there are some possibilities now to verify as a virtual business. So we could maybe look into that either, later.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought the main thing when I was doing this really regularly, folks, was that you can use your brokerage. The only problem is that they're going to have multiple agents using the brokerage address, and that reduces the effectiveness of you showing up, and it's a little bit confusing for Google. But you can still do that. You can use your home. I would strongly advise, even though you can hide it, as Adam says, I don't think that's a great idea myself.
Yeah.
The other thing is you can't use a post office PO address. Google will not accept that. But there are alternatives. I know that there's obviously you can have a shared business address in shared office space. There's also virtual companies that Google doesn't see as a PO box, but it's still a virtual office, but they have various offices around, and so you still get a physical address which Google will recognize. I will have some of these resources in the notes that support this video. But normally you've got to have some form of physical address, and then they send a postcard to that address, which you mustn't lose. You must get it.
Kind of important.
Because you have to redo this. There's a big delay. But if you find the card, you've got to find the card. It will have a serial number, and then when you log in, it will ask you for this serial number. That's correct, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah, it has a PIN number on there that you'll type into your Google My Business account once you get that in the mail. And it usually takes, I think, 5 days, they say.
Right. It's very nondescript. It's easy. If you're getting a load of junk mail, you've got to keep your eyes skinned, because it's quite easy. If you just grab hold of most of the mail that's sent to your business address and you dump it, it always ends up in the newspaper, the free newspaper that's sent to you.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep your eyes, because you don't want to have to do this, because if you do it a second time, it takes a couple of weeks before the card gets to what it used to.
Yeah.
They made this a little bit harder, because you used in the about 18 months to 3 years ago, you used to be able to phone them up, and they would you give them a phone number, and they used to call you, and over the phone they would give you the number. But they had so many people trying to put false addresses that now they only send the card out.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing, Adam, on this 101 journey?
Yeah. So, like Jonathan said, determine, work or home. And then also be careful too, because a lot of the MLS guidelines and things that you have in your area, and based on the state and things, you might not be able to use your home address. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Plus, you don't really want the public to know, even if it helps with searches, that's where you live. So for safety purposes, we kind of advise against that for those reasons. So so log in, go through those, check out the info tab, definitely, that's on the left-hand side, and you just kind of scroll down to that. Inside that's where you're going to add your address. So whether it's the brokerage or however you feel that's going to work out best for you, then you're going to go into the different service areas. And so this is really important, because when people are Googling realtors in your area, for instance, I live in Bend, Oregon. So if someone is Googling realtors in Bend, Oregon, who's going to pop up? And that's what these service areas are for. So you want to put kind of the main cities or towns that you work in that people are going to search, and starting with like the most important one first. So mine would be Bend, because it's the biggest city in Central Oregon, and it's still not even that big. And so like Jonathan would put Reno, Carson City, Tahoe, Sparks, like those would be service areas for his area. After that, you will go into the hours of operation. And so based on the day and the time, when are you open? Not everybody wants to be accessible 24 hours a day. So that's kind of up to you on what you want to put. So, if it's 9 to 5 or 8 to 5.
I would actually, I differ a little bit. It does depend, but I think if you're really looking to build your business up, especially if you're linking this to the paid side, which you're going to be discussing in one of the other videos, I would advise you to put 24 hours on it.
I would too. Yeah. Same with Facebook and stuff too.
Yeah. We got to be realistic here. This is you're in real estate, and real estate is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week industry until you get established and you have people working for you. And it isn't a 7-day, 24-hour profession, basically. So I think the other thing is there's a couple other really key areas. You've got to fill this in as much as possible. If the more information you can put in, the more Google likes it.
Yeah.
If you've got some nice photos, you've got to have some nice photos of yourself. And those photos, and I'm not being disparaging here, they can't be 10 years ago. They've got to be pretty recent. They've got to be professional, but not too artificial looking. And the more photos, especially if you've got photos with people that you've sold some houses with, and some
happy
photos
clients
of you about doing your business. The more photos, and you need to give them titles and tag them, because that's important as well. What do you think of that, Adam?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the tabs that's just a little bit lower that you'll go into. Just make sure you fill out all the info on that info tab. There's a phone number. If you have a website, add the URL for your website. So your website address there. If you don't have one, you can actually click and have a website, like just a super basic one, through the Google My Business, or you can have one of our plans, right?
You can pay for a website through them. Obviously, Mel, as part of our package, we offer a basic personalized, and then IDX, and then we offer custom and full. I'm going to say this. I said the first bit to this to make it clear that we might be a little bit biased. But I'm saying this in all honesty. You do not want to buy your website through Google. It's extremely very basic. It's a very basic editor, and you definitely don't want to buy your domain through Google, because it's a nightmare to regain control of that domain. It's all robotized. If you have a problem, it's a nightmare. There's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to ring up and ask if this. And I've had to spend many hours of my life trying to get hold of somebody in Google, which is practically even more difficult than Facebook, to try and get a domain released from Google when somebody's purchased a website. And it seems attractive, but the problem is they purchase the domain through that service, and that is the problem.
Yeah. And I guess, kind of to summarize what Jonathan's saying is it's not worth the return on investment. You're not going to get what you need out of that basic website. And then he said a basic plan for what we have with MailRight. That does not mean a basic website, though. It's a really well put together search engine ranked type of a WordPress website that we create in our plans. And so that basic plan just doesn't have the IDX feed, but those are other options that you can get that we develop for you.
I think, just to finish off now, if you agree, Adam, I think the next biggest thing, and it's really important, and it causes also a lot of confusion, is you filled everything up. You got the postcode, you put the serial number in, you've filled in all the bio, you've uploaded some nice photos of yourself, you've uploaded some photos of people, houses that you've represented, had successful sales. You've also maybe uploaded some video as well.
All that's good. Yeah,
it's all good.
They do like to see, you'll get there, but they do like to see about 100 photos and videos on there to kind of look established as a business too. So that does help.
The more you can upload, the happier. But the next important thing, and I can't emphasize how important this is, and it's an area where a lot of agents really fall on their face, is you need a fair few reviews.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this really count. Google really, really focuses on the reviews.
Yeah.
And the more reviews you have, when you're ready to pay for the paid element, which we're going to discuss in a later video, the cheaper it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when it comes to the organic side, folks, your Google My Business page will show up more organically the more reviews you've got. It's one of the main parameters. It's location, how much you filled in your Google My Business page. But the third, and I would say the biggest, is how many reviews you've got.
Yeah.
But you get people that cheat. And what they do is they set up a load of Yahoo or Gmail accounts, and then in front of their computer, they knock up 12, 15 artificial reviews. Please don't do that, because Google will ban you and you're going to get in a lot of trouble, because if you're doing it at the same computer, they know your IP address.
Yep.
Our IP address, every computer has a unique numbered address, and your internet provider, also organizations like Google, Facebook, and other online advertisement platforms, they will know your IP address. And this applies to Yelp, this applies to Zillow. All these major platforms, they have the technology to identify your IP address.
Can't outsmart them.
Well, if you get flagged and then actual human looks at it,
you're in trouble with them. That's for sure.
This is not something you want to go, and it doesn't normally.
No.
It's not a human does it, but it's done by technology, and that technology works pretty well. So, have you got any insights about how people do get reviews and testimonials in a legit way, Adam?
Yeah, and I think just with our clients and some of my personal clients is there's a link on the homepage, and if you scroll down, it'll you can share your profile, so you can use that link. So people put those in emails, follow-up emails after closings with happy clients, and just ask them if they can take a couple seconds, couple minutes just to give you a good review, add some details on why it was such an exceptional 5-star experience for them. You can also send them via text as well. So always ask for 5 stars too. Don't just say, can you give me a review? Say, can you give me a 5-star review? And you're going to know if your clients were happy, and they're going to do that. If they're not, just don't ask them for that review. Remember too, I don't know about you, Jonathan, but most of the items I buy now, it's based on review, and I'll actually pay even more money for something if it has better reviews than something that has, less than stellar reviews. So I think the statistic is that over 80% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation now. So that tells you how important these are to have these online testimonials and recommendations, on Google My Business for you. So keep that in mind as you kind of get all these reviews and ask past clients and friends that have worked with you to add their 5-star reviews with some details for you.
Yeah, so there's two things. I totally agree with what Adam's just said, but there's two things I want to point out. Number one, you're a new agent and you're thinking, I haven't, because the best time to do this, to approach, to get really great reviews is when somebody has sold their home or they've purchased their home through you. And the quicker you do it after the successful purchase or sale of a house, the more they will probably do what you ask them to do and they'll be motivated to do it. But for the new agent, you're probably thinking, well, I haven't got any clients. Well, the great thing is it doesn't have to be around the sale. If there's any person you've done business before, you can send them that link and you can ask them for a review about what type of person you are.
Yeah, working with you. What's it been like
what's
working
it like?
with you? Maybe it was a different company even, and that's okay. They don't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Google doesn't care.
Yeah.
What they care is it's an honest review about you from somebody else, and it's from another IP address. And don't ask a friend to do what I've just outlined, what you shouldn't. If you've got a friend that's doing 5 different reviews under 5 different, it's the same thing applies. It will be a same IP address. They know then that it's not McCoy, it's something dicey. It'll get you into trouble. The other thing I want to point out, and it's a plug for Mel, right, is that we have an inbuilt review system that encourages you. And it's online. It's based on online survey. It sends an email to a client asking them to fill in a quick survey about the service that they've received from you. It asks you, from 0 to 10, how they would rate your service, and if you leave a comment, they click a button, and then it sends them to Google. And ask them, can you put the same review on Google? It's it's more professional rather than what I've seen a few agents do, which is rather send a kind of quasi begging email to people. I've sold your house. Please give me a 5-star review. I think it's a little bit beggy. Our system just comes across as we're interested in your feedback, and it comes across professional.
Very professional, yeah, and that matters.
But viewers are really, really important, and it's something that so many agents don't capitalize on and don't. There's a few what you see very regularly, and the thing that applies to Zillow and Yelp as well, is you see a few agents that really get it, and you see 80% of other agents don't bother.
Yeah,
you want to be one of those 20 in that 20% that understand that this is really important and it will make a big difference to your business. Would you agree with that, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, if 80% of people look at them as personal recommendations, it's extremely important now. And remember too, like, just because these are online reviews, there's nothing that doesn't say you can't copy these and put them in a listing presentation so you can bring these 20 reviews of what your past clients or current clients have said about you. So you can use these beyond Google and online and on websites and stuff too. So just keep that in mind, that there's a lot of opportunity by having solid 5-star reviews.
Another factor, I know it's a bit long, this video, and we're going to wrap it up after this point. Don't get fixated about that one bad review.
Yeah.
I've spoken to so many agents that are still ranting every time they go to, and it actually stops them from getting other reviews.
Yeah.
because they won't log in to their Google business page or because they see that bad review and they start ranting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but what does matter is that you answer that bad review, but you answer it in a very courteous, logical, outline your side of what happened,
Yeah.
but do it in a professional way. Don't answer it in anger. And secondly, if you go to agents review page on Google My Business and all you see is 5 stars, you see like 200 reviews and every one of
Something's
them is,
fishy. it
doesn't gel. It does. I don't care if you're Jesus Christ of a real estate agent. You're not going to be let's face it, they crucified him and he was a saint. So
Yeah.
no matter how great a real estate agent you are, you're going to upset some people and they're going to leave you a crappy review.
It'll happen.
Don't fixate about it because I see too many agents fixate about that. Would you agree with that, Adam?
Yeah, Google likes on bad reviews for you to be direct with that person in your reply. So, always say, hey, thank you for your feedback or something similar. And I would love to find out more information about, this experience you had so we can further improve our services, something like that. I even sometimes will just give people an email if they can email our marketing department so we can take a closer look at this and follow up. I rarely have anybody ever follow up for clients bad reviews like that. Like usually those people post it, they're trolls, and they're done with it. But you might have some legitimate reasons why that experience wasn't great. Like maybe you weren't willing to put an unrealistic price on that house. And so those are things you got to consider in the reply that, again, be courteous with it, be friendly, be kind, but also like there's some details and facts of why maybe that didn't work out. And so that is a place to put those, not spitefully, just in an educated way so that people know when they're looking through the reviews, oh, that's why you got a 1 star. It's because you weren't willing to, overprice their home, or you weren't willing to do certain things that were uncomfortable, or whatever the situation is. So just keep those in mind when you're replying back like that directly.
That's great. I think I'm going to wrap it up. Keep in mind, next week, we're going to be showing one of our agents' websites, hopefully, that we've set up their Google local business page. So we'll just go through how we've set it up and go and reinforce the fundamentals. And the video after that, we're going to be talking about the paid side of all this and what Google offers, which is also really exciting. And we'll be going through some of the key things that you've got to understand about that. Hopefully you found this video really helpful. Please leave some comments, give us some feedback, good or bad. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. In the next few weeks, we'll be going through loads of stuff that hopefully you as a real estate agent are going to find useful. Also subscribe to the Mel Wright podcast. We do a weekly podcast. We've been doing that for the past 3 to 4 years. We've interviewed the best people in the real estate industry, trainers, coaches, technology. We've interviewed them all, and you find that all on this channel as well.
And it's free.
It's all free. So what more can you ask for, folks? We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks.